up, everyone? So we are here in New York City, and my good friend Karena is actually doing her book launch for The Big Silence, but we're about to sit on a panel, and the focus is going to all be about mental health, boundaries, and I felt like this was something that was honestly really important to vlog. It's something that I know a lot of people are nervous and afraid to talk about. And also there's a lot of people that just don't have guidance and support. And I mean, me personally, this is something I never talked about growing up. And it's also something that, you know, like so many people, I struggled with during the pandemic. With changes in life, changes in career, obviously being in a very, very public relationship. So hopefully you'll be able to take some great things from this panel. I'm going to connect and share some stories with y'all. Also, I'm going to introduce you to some of the team. And I mean, that's really what this is all about. So let's go inside, let's check it out. We're going to have a good conversation, and we're also going to have some fun.
Okay, so for 1 minute, let's drop in with your breathing, focused on your intention for tonight. Professional athlete, global ambassador for Special Olympics. A good friend of Karena's. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you. Terri Cole, psychologist, author, and if you heard her episode on the podcast, it's phenomenal. If you haven't heard it, make sure to check it out. And last but not least, the person that we're here to celebrate and join in fellowship tonight, Karena, founder of The Big Silence, New York Times best-selling author. Her memoir is now out and available. If you haven't picked up a copy, please do so. This morning she was with Jewel on MTV for mental health. She's been touring around the country, going city by city, making a difference and making a change. And I got some new information today that something with Oprah is coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. With no further ado, please enjoy your panel.
So grateful to share this message that we are not alone. We are here together, and what a beautiful gift to even be here in this room together.
It's great to talk about all of these things because I think, you know, and I know personally that there's a lot of things that I've held in for a very, very, very long time. And when you don't feel like you can share a good understanding, it becomes sometimes debilitating.
Indeed, that is true. In telling your story, you've normalized the telling of the story. And instead of being so shame-based, and you went through it, of course, and if you've read the book, if you haven't, you must, that the number of people that you've already saved. Like, think about the positive ripple is so profound. And you doing what you do and having the profile that you have, if people don't, you were a professional football player, you were on The Bachelorette. So you being open to talking about mental health also, that's a whole other category of people who you are being like, hey, this is cool. Like, take care of yourself. It's okay to do so. Your experience in growing up with a mom who was a paranoid schizophrenic, and part of the whole thing of her being undiagnosed for so long. So your reality, because your parents, right, these are the people who we go, oh, they're the dictators of reality, this must be what it is. And you were talking on the Almost 30 podcast to our pals about how your mother would tell you things that your father was involved with, a demonic cult, and that he was possessed, and all of these things that you were keeping in your mind. So how did, at that time, what did you use? How did that impact your imagination? How did that impact your ability to make the distinction between what is real and what is fantasy? Sorry, that's deep. I really wanted to know that when I was reading the book. I was like, I'm writing notes down.
It has taken me up to this point in my life to realize, even with my sister Rachel, we have these discussions, like what is real, what is not, and we still to this day have to figure it out. But as a 12-year-old Karena, this little girl, mom comes to me and says, your dad is the devil. I'm like, okay, dad's the devil. And this is a heavy conversation, but also I want to be very light at the same time. But when you're, and at that age, we're talking about 1992, it's a heavy conversation. You don't get it. So then I turned against my dad.
Of course, because he was the devil, obviously.
Clearly. And that sent me into my own depression and suicide attempt. And it was a really dark time. But it was back in the days when no one was talking about mental health. And I'm like, oh, my mom's diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic. She's in a hospital. What does that even mean?
Right. But you also had all these outlets, and I think that it's so important that you share about writing poetry and the things that you did to sort of channel this into something else, and journaling, right? It sounds to me from what you shared that journaling really was something that kind of saved your life, and that you saved every one of those friggin' journals.
Oh yeah,
I wish I had saved all my journals.
The amount, the places I moved since I was 11, 12, 13, I have every journal and everything I've written. And that helped me with the book as well, because here's my story on paper.
So I have a question for you, because this experience that you had on The Bachelorette is a very public experience. And in my own professional life, I've had a lot of high profile clients, and it's very specific. It's not the same if you are not doing this in front of zillions of people, like where you're 1,017 strangers weighing in. So can you just share a little bit of how was the experience for you?
So going into the show, I will honestly say that I was the most secure I've ever been in my life. Career was good, family life was good, and I had taken some time in the previous years to really do a deep dive into myself and focus on myself. And when I committed to the show, it was kind of a last minute thing, but I realized in life I was doing the coolest shit I could have ever imagined. But I didn't have anybody to share it with. I couldn't share it with my family because they didn't understand, and I was always gone and traveling on the road. And at the end of the day, I always say this, I experienced love throughout my life. And it might be different than a lot of people experience, but I do believe that there's power in it. And when I went on the show, I made a commitment that I was going to do and be myself as much as possible. I wasn't going to get into drama. I'm a very risk-averse person. I'm not trying to get into a lot of chaos. And a big reason is too, I experienced that throughout my life growing up. I don't deal with yelling. It triggers me, right? But the experience was great. It's pretty special, because I think about it from a relationship standpoint. I was very, very numb to people for a long time. I'm an expert at putting up walls, and it took a lot of work for me to allow some of those to come down. And in that time, I met someone who made me feel comfortable to do that, even if it was a short span. And the things that I connected with helped allow me to feel feelings that I had never felt. So I feel as if everything that came across, it was very genuine and authentic. And this isn't a PR answer. This is, the real deal Holyfield. And, I fell in love with, parts of a person, but I also fell in love with the feeling of feeling emotion again. And because I hadn't for so long.
So it's like there was a thawing. So are those walls sort of still down? Do you still want to feel?
Yeah, honestly, that experience and whatever happened within the relationship, my walls are down. And I've learned so much, and I do believe that, God put me in a position such as that because I needed that level of, I don't know if it was, like I went through a pretty public and dramatic breakup, and that's something that I won't dive into because there's a lot of details within it, but I needed to feel that hurt.
Yeah.
Someone or something or projection at my character to that level, because I protected it so long, and I think I've become very, very good at it, and I'm very, very proud of who I am, and I've also been very adamant about that throughout my entire life because of everything that's been projected on my family, and especially in relationships. And I set a boundary a long time ago that if anything started trickling into my personal life and affecting my family and my personal life, I couldn't allow it and I couldn't be a part of it. But I was at the lowest point after the breakup that I had ever been. And for me, in that moment, I was like, what the fuck else do I have to lose?
Yeah.
And I had so much growth. And I wasn't afraid of anything.
What is a low point to you? Your lowest point. And how did you come up? Or if you had come up, I don't know. I'll let Terri.
The lowest point was when I felt ashamed and I felt embarrassed. And not for myself, but I felt like my family feeling it. I felt everyone in the world and everyone that knew me was going through this ride. And it wasn't accurate. And I felt like I couldn't speak. I felt like I was trapped because of my position as a man, my race in society, and because of the position in the show that I was on. And also, from a character standpoint, what good would it do to just try to create more? So I just sat there. And I do believe that is the right and appropriate thing to do, but my will was tested. I had to beg my family to not get involved in these situations, and they respected it. But that was the lowest one, because if we relate this back to when I talked about my dad in prison, my biggest fear is being trapped, controlled, leveraged, and feeling as if I have to be told when and what and how I can and can't do something. And also, and I don't know, like, just from what I've seen growing up and through sports, is being, I'm so like mindful of what I say, but like accused of something that I didn't do by someone else, and not being able to do anything about it.
Right, and not being believed. You made a really good point though that I want to just bring it back to for a sec about when you were like on your knees and you were like, what the fuck else do I have to lose, basically. But the growth, the exponential growth that you talked about, this is something that happens when we have traumatic or dramatic experiences. It's like our regular defense mechanisms, because we're sort of on our knees, are not there. So with anyone who goes through a traumatic or painful experience, it's like there's this opportunity for growth that can be so fast. Like I could work with clients who are in a horrible, painful public breakup or whatever it is, and in 6 months we could do like 4 years of therapy because of the lack of the defenses being up. And again, it's getting to that point though, and then not pivoting in some really bad way.
Yeah.
It's staying in it, like you said, being like, okay, this blows, but I will persevere and I will learn something about myself. And yet that strong sense of self was still there, and you did it. Like you were able to not let it define you.
You say you're happiest that you've ever been. What is happiness to you? What is joy? What is the ultimate?
For me, it's certainty, but it's also peace. I think about like business, life, career, whatever else. Like, don't get me wrong, I get like ramped up, but I feel very, very certain, and I feel a sense of calm that I haven't felt in a very, very long time. And for me, that's happiness, because I believe like that's the state that I like to be at. That's how I'm here.
But what you're describing is being here now.
Yeah.
Right? It's like surrendering to whatever the moment is and being present. Because life isn't just the peak positive experiences, right? It's all the friggin' experiences.
Yeah.
It's good, it's bad, but those are the things that make it worth experiencing. And I think that in my own younger life, when I could stop trying to control the shit out of everything so much, not just people, all the things, all the circumstances, over-functioning, over-giving, overdoing, again, all with this codependent need to impact the outcome. You know, with codependency, it really is just a covert or an overt desire to control things, right? Because there's a feeling of being unsafe. If I leave it to other people, only I can do it. And yet in being able to just surrender, which is what it sounds like in your description and in your description too.
Just gotta give it up, let the ego drop. Let the ego drop.
I'm a little shook from this panel still, but this was a vlog that I thought was extremely important to share. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect tonight, and I definitely shared some things personally that I have never shared publicly. But the most important thing to understand is that everyone goes through different things, and you need to have outlets, you need to have resources. And by talking about it, by putting it out there, you liberate yourself from a lot of the chains and a lot of the weights and a lot of things that hold you hostage. I know for me personally, for a long time, I've held into a lot of anger and frustration, and it was honestly debilitating. But when you can release those things and just honestly let it go, it's so liberating. And if you're struggling with any issues, I encourage you to reach out. I encourage you to find someone that you can trust. And I mean, even if you can reach out to me, I'm always connecting with people on social media because I know how it feels and I know how hard it is. But, you know, we're gonna keep doing this stuff. Tonight was beautiful, and I hope you can share this with someone that needs it, and I hope that this can help someone in your life, or it can help you. So always love. Keep subscribing to the channel, drop comments, let us know, and I don't know, we got something else coming, so this one was special.